tears and tension on the Lebanese border. Just 2 kilometres from Syria, a makeshift settlement. It's one of hundreds scattered across Lebanon. These children have fled conflict, but no escape here from disease and malnutrition. This mother of 4 says her 8-month-old son has diarrhea.
And he's vomiting too, even he is not able to eat or to drink water.
A father wants us to see his daughter. The child is malnourished.
She just lost appetite. She doesn't eat or drink anything.
There are no showers here, no toilets, no cooking areas. These families are somehow surviving with no dignity.
Are you going to say hello?
Visits to the camp, like this one from UNICEF Ireland, provide a break from the miserable monotony of life here.
The bit that really shook me there was seeing 2 little girls the exact same ages as my 2 daughters, but you know, suffering tiny little wrists, tiny, you can see their bones. It just, you think if that's your kid, what would you do? And you would do anything. These people really badly need help.
Children need it most. In this tent, a psychologist tells us about one boy who has stopped talking. He'd seen his mother killed in front of him.
Beheaded due to a bomb.
It's a tragedy so terrible, yet in this camp it's also so typical. Last week, the UN launched the largest appeal in its history, seeking $5 billion for humanitarian aid for the people of Syria. In Lebanon alone, you'll find a million reasons why this help is so desperately required. Philip Bromwell, RTE News, on the Lebanese-Syrian border. Victims of violence and witnesses of war. But these refugees are still children. In the Bekaa Valley, activities like this are designed to provide psychosocial support to children who fled the crisis in Syria. These children have lost so much already, but for a few hours this afternoon at least, they get a sense of a normal childhood back again. Because for many of them, this is what life is really like. At this camp near the Syrian border, there are new arrivals. 2 babies brought here overnight from Aleppo. Their mothers are sisters, and this is their grandmother's tent. But they can't stay. 11 family members already live here, and finding materials for another tent won't be cheap.
It's becoming very expensive. It's between $600, around $600 to $700 to just build a makeshift tent. So the conditions are extremely difficult here.
But if it costs so much to build a tent like this, how are these already impoverished families surviving? This truck is back from the fields which surround this camp. There are adults and children on board.
9. 9. 10.
These children tell us they left the camp at 4 in the morning to gather potatoes for a local farmer. This 9-year-old girl demonstrates what the work involves.
I get 6,000 Lebanese pounds, or the equivalent of $4.
$4 for a 7-hour shift. A childhood already over at just 9 years old. Philip Bromwell, RTE News, in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. Not so much a school bus as a school in a bus. It travels around the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, reaching Syrian children who have missed out on education.
Lots of them, they are at age of 8 or 9 and never been to school because of the displacement.
You don't see many books in a refugee camp.
Now they don't have that anything because they left everything in Syria.
Learning and activity are effective ways of helping children to cope with the crisis. At this centre, circus skills are taught as a form of psychosocial support. Mahmoud tells me he's haunted by images of oppression, injustice and violence.
Wow.
Normally around 40 to 50 young people would attend a session like this one, but today less than half that number have turned up because of the worsening security situation in this part of Lebanon. Parents had decided to keep their children at home. But refugee children who don't or can't access support are facing new horrors.
They are using children for sexual issues to get money. And they are using girls for something called maybe jihad, for those who are fighting there.
We're now hearing terrible and disturbing and distressing reports about children who are being exploited in the worst possible way, young girls who are being effectively sold into prostitution. We've heard stories of torture, and these are unacceptable to UNICEF.
Aid does make a difference. Some of the children filmed for this report earlier this week are now receiving treatment in hospital. But the overall emergency response remains significantly underfunded. Aid agencies say even if the fighting were to stop tomorrow, Syria and its people will still need years to recover.